your practice 7, the full paper practice for globalization, specifically on SRQ question 7. Okay, this is quite done with extremes lah. We have people who did horribly, and we have people who did very well. Okay, now let me clarify. Question 7 is testing your concepts and understanding of the content. Okay, so the responses must come from the content. All right, it is not something that you cook out from thin air. Yes, you can add in your own examples that you know of, real life cases, but the things must come from the content. The processes, the terms must come from the content. Okay, because quite a few of you answer this like a source-based question, or like this is some stimulus for your own your own narrative writing. Okay, some of you give me long expositories about Singapore, how we become a global economy, how we become part of global economy, no natural resources. Then some people talk about Lee Kuan Yew, everything. Okay, or some of you focus the negative effects on COVID. No, look at the question. Did the question ask about Singapore? Did the question ask about COVID? No, right? Okay, so as I told you many times, for SRQ extracts, you realize that they only tell you what the extracts say. They never ask you to use the extract to answer. Okay, they didn't even ask you to study. You realize that? All right, whereas you compare to source based, they ask you to study these and then ask you questions specific to the source. Okay, ask you questions specific to the source. How useful is this source? Why did the person who wrote the source says this kind of thing? Okay, then for this question for source based, you must deal with the sources. But in SRQ, we didn't even ask you to refer to the extract. It's optional. Okay, it's just meant for you to trigger yourself trigger more ideas. So please read the question and answer the question. If you panic, just remember question 7 requires you to use the content you have learned. Okay, other than that, everybody else is able to tell me positive, negative impacts. I see attempts to do that. I see some of you only manage to do positive or manage to do only negative, maybe run out of time. But for practice, I expect you to do the full essay. Okay, so that you can build up your stamina. All right. Third thing, there's a trick that I put in which they don't always do in O levels, but I put it in so that you can learn from your mistakes. Okay, you realize I asked about positive economic impacts versus negative economic impacts. Okay, there is a plural there. All right, so it means that by right you should be telling me at least 2 positive economic impacts and at least 2 negative economic impacts. You shouldn't be giving me only 1. Okay, in exam situation, I got no time. I write 1 for each. Can or not? Can. Okay, exam don't need to give 100% complete answers. All right, just do what gives you the most marks. But for practice, where we build up your stamina, you need to do at least 2 positive and 2 negative. Okay, now does this mean that you need to write like crazy? No. All right, because as I pointed out to you, the content, a lot of parts are repeating itself, so you can actually combine them. Okay, lastly, a lot of you forgot to weigh your conclusion. Only Anik did it, and he did it quite well. Okay, so if you're keen, you can take a look at his essay, how he weigh. It's just unfortunate that one of the sites, I forgot, is it the positive or negative side, wasn't very well explained, so I couldn't give marks for the conclusion. Okay, if you're wondering how the marks given, all right, just to recap, L1 means that you're talking nonsense. Okay, anything about globalization, economic impact, we give you L1. Okay, but if you didn't deal with the content, it's L1. L2 means that you are describing the impacts. Okay, and then L3 is where you do L2 plus explain. This is maximum 7 marks. All right, and if you did actually do the conclusion with L3, that means you cannot just do economic positive and then conclude. You must do both sides of L3. So you must do positive and negative, then you conclude. That's how you get the 8th mark. Okay, now let me just deal with this first. Okay, so where can you find the content for positive and negative economic impact? Hello, can you refer to your notes that I gave you all? Remember the elephant graph notes? Okay, remember I have all these positive, negative impact. Okay, so you can just pick any 2. All right, in fact, you can pick parts that repeats itself. Okay, like remember I told you all, this whole process where it's easier for MNC to move the operation overseas, right? This is repeated here for positive, repeated here for negative, also for at the country level, also repeated at a company level, positive, okay, and also at individual level. Okay, this is actually repeating the same points. So actually you can write the same set of details and then go on to explain how it leads to impact on country and then impact on individual, for example. Then you're done with 2 impacts already. There's no need to rewrite the whole thing. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. All right, first give me a thesis statement. Okay, so do you think its positive impact outweigh the negative impact? Okay, so let's start with the positive impact. All right, one of the positive economic impact of globalization is the flourishing of economy, LDC's economy. Okay, so you tell me the whole process due to all these things. Okay, so the due to globalization, then how is it more viable for MNC to move their operations? Okay, and then how it then talk about, then it lead to investment in LDCs. Okay, then you allow you to talk about more jobs, everything, more economic activity. Okay, all right, and then there is a increase in growth in income. Okay, so this is the explanation part for the LDC economy flourishing. Okay, now you can just add on. All right, the same process also brought about positive another positive economic impact brought about by the same process is the improvement. So let me go to individuals lah. Okay, improvement, maybe for improvement for LDCs. Okay, I can maybe just talk at the better quality of life. Okay, of quality of life for people in LDCs. Okay, so you can tell me that the investments okay, and then what does it do to the quality of life? Okay, what does it lead to? What does it lead to? And then has the quality of life improve? Okay, so you see I've actually put in two impacts and explaining 2 impacts with just one set of details. Okay, so you don't need to rewrite everything over and over again. Okay, you can just repeat this. All right, so can I get you to try for negative? Okay, so negative, you can use the same process. All right, just pick one thing that repeats. Okay, and I want you to do that within 10 minutes. Okay, and then from then on, we move on to recap the other parts where I get you to recap the healthcare topics. All right.